the room, and his father tells him to come in. Cheyenne enters and introduces himself. While he thinks that the last time he met this guy like this was 15 years ago, to Kala's verdict, who tells him to sit. People call him the protector of the continent. The one who, with his magical power and military strategies, stopped the demon's attack. Even if a whole army of the Demon King wanted to kill him, all he wanted was peace for this continent. But that's just how he was in Cheyenne's memories. Someone who dedicated his whole life to serving people and being an admirable man. The first thing Wallace says is that he noticed he saw the sword and dodged. Shin is confused, but Wallace says that when Krantz attacked him, he saw the trajectory of the sword easily and turned his side to avoid it, and asks when he learned this kind of fencing. Shin is impressed with how attentive he is and says he learned it on his own. Wallace says that as far as he knows, Cheyenne had no interest in fencing or he was hiding his skills. The explanation says he didn't want to stand out too much, while Wallace says it's amazing that he defeated CR even acting like that. But he stops and then asks why he hit his brother like that in the end. Cheyenne thinks, is he recognizing me as someone strong? And then says he wanted to prove something. Wallace asks what he wants to prove. Our hero says that he is a brother. He wanted to prove that he is better than CR. The father begins to laugh and says it's amazing to have such a direct and clear answer like that. He hopes that Cheyenne will one day become a strong ally of Eshel. The name Eshel scares our protagonist, who wonders why he would want to be an ally of that guy. In the end, his father's obsession with Eshel hasn't changed at all. He clenches his fists without saying anything. And Wallace says there's no reward ceremony, but he can ask for something. Shan's plan is very obvious. He wants to end everything that Eshel wants to do. So, he tells his father that he wants something special. The maid asks if he really wants to go to the front line of war. He says yes and is sure, but she wants to know if he's out of his mind. He has no idea how terrifying that place is. It's full of demons, monsters, and creatures. In the west of the old empire, there's a place known as the continent's front line, a battlefield where an endless war against the demon army has been going on for 100 years. Because of this reason, his father, who was hesitant at first, gave a condition. He would have to be qualified enough to go to that place. But Cheyenne didn't exactly know what he meant by that. But one thing is certain, he just has to get stronger and faster as soon as possible. Fortunately, he still has all the battle knowledge from before the regression, and he can feel a bit of demonic power within him. So, he just has to train, and eventually he'll be able to use it. Suddenly, the door opens and someone shouts his name. With a hand on his hip, he recognizes his big sister at least. Welcome. She grabs him by the collar, and the maid asks where she was while she's asking Cheyenne if he's crazy. She heard that he asked his father to go to the front line while Cheyenne is begging her to let him go. Ellis drops him to the ground and says he's getting too cocky for beating CR, and she yells in his face telling him to go to the roof now. Outside the castle, the two be on a bridge, and Ellis says it will start when he touches the sword. Then he just has to resist for 3 minutes, and she'll allow him to go to the front line. Shin wants to know if they really need to do that. Ellis ignores him and says she has a question. Is he planning to succeed in the family by any chance? Cheyenne is caught off guard, but he has no interest in that. Before he can answer, Ellis tells him to draw his sword. While Cheyenne thinks he barely regressed and is already having to fight twice. Without saying anything, Ellis goes for it because he touched the sword, which scares him without knowing why. He manages to defend her blow, and she's incredulous that he managed to block that. While Shin is scared that she's really going all out against a brother 7 years younger, she steps back with grace and beauty. While thinking it's impossible for him to have blocked her Wong's sword with that thin rapier, he's already gnashing his teeth, thinking it's luck. She says he's apparently better than she thought. Cheyenne realizes he's in trouble now, and she goes for it with a sequence of cuts that's hard for Shan to dodge. She jumps to prepare a vertical attack. Shan manages to defend the shoulder side. Her blade slips past his and ends up going straight for her neck. Ellis is startled, and Cheyenne realizes he did something stupid. He spins his arm, and they both step back. Standing on the pillar, he thinks it would have been dangerous. If he hadn't moved the sword, he would have killed her now. The assassination techniques he learned are all for instant death. He doesn't know how to fight without killing someone. But she wants to continue this for 3 minutes. It will be dangerous for her. Maybe he could put mana into the blade, but he's already running out of energy. Suddenly, Elise starts chanting, asking the earth and the wind to become her sword. Cheyenne recognizes immediately as a 6-star magic. Ellis's blade starts to glow with the activation of the water blade. Cheyenne is now crying. She really wants to kill me. This wasn't a test. Ellis keeps repeating to herself that she can't lose under any circumstances. On the corner of the wall, Shine's problem is that if he reflects her attack, either he'll end up killing her or throwing her off. If that's the case, he jumps towards her. She raises her sword, releasing a beam of light. Sean asks for something to stop hesitating and come out already. As Alice is preparing to deliver the blow, right before impact, a knight enters between them, saying, "Enough." He blocks Alice's attack with his sword and grabs Shin by the collar. The impact resonates throughout the castle, and the knight stares Alice down, saying she went too far against the young boy. Shin feels relieved. He had been waiting for this guy to show up, but he took too long. Seeing the blade, Alice seems to regain consciousness. She then rushes and hugs Shuren, apologizing, saying she lost control. She cries on his shoulder, saying all she didn't want was for him to go to the front line because she'll be very worried. Embraced by her, Cheyenne thinks she truly is Nanin, a person who studied in one of the S-grade schools and was one of the most highly qualified swordsmen. Moreover, she had a beautiful face and was recognized as the daughter of a god. Everyone thought she would be the next continent's protector alongside Eshel. However, not long after joining the Knights of Light, she got a miserable end. He hugs her, saying he missed her and that this time he will protect her. Elise asked the knight why he's here if he's the Duke's protector who left. The knight says he's here obeying the Duke's orders to protect the young master. Cheyenne thinks he sensed this guy's presence since he left the office. That's why he was angry he didn't show up. Passing out, he just doesn't understand why his father ordered to protect him in hiding. He then loses consciousness on Eliza's shoulder, who smiles, thinking he's still a child. The next day, she returned to the academy and he resumed training to prepare to meet his father. All he could do was push his body to the maximum to increase stamina. However, poor thing is fading. 10 push-ups is the maximum he can handle. Remembering his muscular version, he thinks he'll need drastic measures. Suddenly, Emily enters the room and says Elise sent something for him. However, she says it's too stinky and asks what it is. After Ellis attacked him, Sean asks for hellhound blood as a gift of apology. Because of the terrible smell and disgusting appearance, everyone thinks it's poison. But in fact, it has the power to permanently increase the stamina of whoever drinks it. Pinching her nose, Emily asks if he's really going to drink that, and he says yes.